So today we're going to be breaking down a 5-step guide on how you guys can get your score to a 799, which is exactly what I have done in just 4 short years. If you follow these strategies and steps, you're going to get there a lot quicker than I did. I didn't have all the information when I first started. If you have no credit right now, or if you have bad credit, we're going to get you back on track when it comes to building your score. So before we get started, I want to share with you guys one of my favorite quotes. You could either experience the pain of discipline or the pain of regret. The choice is yours. Now, this quote is very relevant when it comes to finances and just overall life. So we need to keep that in mind when we are moving forward in our lives. Let's get started, guys. So the first step, we have to understand how our score is calculated. Most people have no idea how a credit score is actually calculated, and this is going to hinder your progress. We need to have the information first before we get started. Going into this with a blind eye, we could dig ourselves into a big hole, because it can be very dangerous if you're not responsible and you don't have all the information to keep your score high. We have to learn how our score is calculated. So I'm going to break down each one of these individually, but first let's just take the whole picture, take the whole percentage tile, and just go over each one of these. So 35% is your payment history, amounts owed 30%, length of credit history 15%, new credit 10%, credit mix 10%. That gives you your 100% total when it comes to your score. So first things first, let's go over your payment history. Your payment history is calculated by your total payments minus your missed payments divided by your total payments. That gives you your payment history percentage. So if you had 200 payments and 5 missed payments, it'd be 200 minus 5 divided by your total payments, 200, gives you that 97.5 percentage for your payment history. Now, although 97.5 is good, we want to keep our score at 100%, right? Because the higher our percentage, the higher our credit score will be, since this is a big percentage of how our credit score is calculated. All right, so we need to make sure we keep our percentage at 100. I'm going to show you guys what to do when it comes to setting up auto pay so you never miss a payment. We'll get into that later on. So your amounts owed and your credit utilization is 30% of your score. Lenders will see you as a high-risk borrower the higher amount you owe. You're more likely to miss a payment the more you rack up a balance, right? That's obvious. Credit companies aren't going to want to lend to someone who just racks up a high balance and doesn't pay back. So we need to make sure we're keeping our balances low. So your amounts owed is based off of your total accounts, all right? It's not just based off of one card or one loan, right? It's going to be your total accounts. So the more accounts you have a balance on, the more likely lenders will see you as a high-risk borrower, right? That's pretty obvious as well. If you have a bunch of accounts with balances on all of them versus just maybe one, right? It's not looking pretty. All right, so credit utilization percentage is the total amount you owe divided by the total available credit for all accounts. All right, all your accounts. So number 3 makes up 15% of your credit score, and this is your length of credit history. This number is reported on your credit score as your average age of credit. That's important. It's your average age, guys. So if you have 2 credit cards, one for 4 years, the other for 2 years, your average credit history would be 3 years is what you would see on your credit score. Credit mix makes up 10%. So just having a variety of different credit. Me personally, I've only ever had credit cards. I've never had a car loan, student loan, or no mortgage. So my obviously this really hasn't affected me at all. So having a credit mix can definitely be helpful if you have these other loans, it can help, but like I said, it didn't really impact my score. So let's keep it going. So new credit is going to be making up 10% of your score. So although having more credit can help bring down your utilization percentage, applying for too much credit in a short period of time is looked at as a high risk from lenders. Typically, one new card every 6 months is okay. Your hard inquiries, which basically means applying for new credit, will stay on your credit report for 12 months. After 12 months, it will not count against you. So, but within that 12 months, it will, and your score will drop a little bit every time you apply for new credit, but it will bounce back up once it falls off of your report. So step 2 is paying off all of your debt and creating a budget. So if you have had bad credit, your first step is to manage your money with a budget. You need to have extra money left over at the end of each month to reach financial freedom. Having a credit card balance means you overspent your earnings, right? This lifestyle is costly and will dig yourself into a bigger hole. Creating a budget where you have money left over will allow you to use that extra cash to put towards your debt balance. We have to change our spending habits first in order to get out of this cycle. You may have an income problem. It may not just be a spending problem. And you might need to work for extra income streams in order to create that excess cash flow that can be used to pay off of your debts. So we have to break the cycle, guys. We have to stop charging our cards and spending money that we don't have. Credit can count against us, and we're going to pay a lot of money in interest if we carry a balance. So we need to use credit. We cannot let credit use us. All right. So step 3 is going to be applying for a secured credit card. A secured credit card is a great first-time credit card because there's no risk for the lender. With a secured credit card, you will make a one-time deposit into a credit account, normally between $200 and $500. The amount deposited will be your available credit limit. So with this beginner card, you're borrowing against your own money. This gives you the chance to build up the good habits of keeping your utilization low and your payment history at 100%. And gradually using the secured card, your score will go up significantly. So moving forward, we have to set up automatic payments because this helps with our payment history. We do not want to miss a payment. So with your credit card, you could set up these automatic payments and never miss a payment. However, paying off your account balance weekly, which is what I do, will keep you from building up a larger balance and feeling overwhelmed with a large bill at the end of the month. So paying off each week keeps me in track of having a zero balance, right? We don't want to have a balance. We want to make sure that we have enough money to pay off our balance each and every month. But when you pay it off each week and seeing that money leave your checking account versus leaving your checking account at the end of the month, it kind of helps you budget a little bit better and knowing what you're spending. So step 5, after 6 months, you will apply for a beginner credit card. So once you have been using your secured credit card for 6 months, you will most likely see a big increase in your credit score, which is exactly what happened to me. Now, it's important to note that you do not want to cancel your secured credit card once you move on to a regular card, because canceling will affect your length of credit history, which makes up 15% of your score, like we just talked about. The same principles apply with your regular credit card. You want to set up auto pay. You want to make sure you're paying off your balance weekly. Your credit company will issue you a credit limit based off of your new card and your score, your income. There's a few things that the credit card companies will take into consideration when determining how much they want to make your credit limit. I believe my first couple cards were like maybe a couple $1,000s, and then gradually, once you start using that card for more and more years, they'll bump up the limit once they know you're a reliable borrower. So making sure that we apply for a new card after 6 months is important. You're increasing your available total credit limit for all your accounts. So if you have a large credit limit for all your accounts and you're only using maybe 1 or 2 cards, your utilization will be lower compared to if you only had 1 card and only maybe like a couple $1,000s of a available credit limit. So your utilization will definitely decrease in terms of its percentage when you have more and more cards. So we want to continue to apply for more cards, but without canceling our older ones. So that is definitely something that I wish I knew when I first started. I was just kind of using one card, a secured card, and I had the secured card for like almost 2 years without actually applying for more cards. It was when I started to apply for more cards and increasing my credit limit that I had that my score really started to increase. All right, guys, so I want to break down exactly my credit score and how I've gotten my score to a 799. Now, this is not to brag, this is just to show you guys what is possible when you follow these 5 steps. So, like I said, payment history, I have never missed a payment. Setting up that auto pay is super important, but we don't want to rely on the auto pay. Like I said, I'm paying off my balances weekly so that I keep my balance, or so that I keep so that my balance, so I never have a balance, right? I don't ever want to have a balance, so I want my utilization to be basically zero, right? So sometimes your credit score will, or your credit company will report your balance, or will report to the credit bureaus after a couple weeks sometimes. So sometimes you will have a little bit of a balance, but it just goes away as soon as you pay it off. So 1%, nothing. Derogatory marks, if you have any type of like collections, tax liens, bankruptcies, judgments, this also affects your credit score. So my average age of credit, 2 years, 7 months. Even though I had my first card for like 4 years now, my first secured card, it's been about 4 years. It's your average. So even though my average age is only 2 years, 7 months, I've still been able to get my score to an excellent level. Total accounts 10. Like I said, I was opening up a new account every 6 months. Sometimes I was going a little bit. Sometimes it was less than 6 months, but you really don't need a bunch of accounts to get your score to a higher amount, like a high amount. It really just depends. What's most important is having a higher credit limit. So having a higher credit limit, like I said, will help keep your utilization low. And then lastly, hard increase, the number of times you applied for credit. Like I said, I haven't this goes away after 12 months, so I haven't applied for any new credit recently because I have nothing to really borrow for. Having a good credit score really doesn't mean anything, guys. I mean, it definitely can be important when you're trying to like get a house, but your credit score does not determine your financial success, right? It's just a indicator of how well you pay back your debt. Debt is not good, guys. Only reason I've used my credit cards is for having cashback bonuses. Once you get to a certain level, there's certain cards that you could apply for that have bonuses that allow you to get these cash back, or sometimes if you spend a certain amount within the first 3 months, you get like a couple $100s. So I've been using credit cards just for the ability to earn extra money and to save money. It's really has nothing to do with actually needing a good credit score to borrow for certain things. Like, I do not recommend that anyone be having a high credit score to then buy a car or finance vacations, right? You want to make sure that you're using credit and not letting it use you. You could get into a big hole if you are not responsible, and that's how credit card companies make a lot of money, because people are paying high interest from having a balance and letting a balance carry over. So we want to make sure we're paying off our balances, guys. And I'm going to be making a bunch more of these videos because I know credit can be very complicated, and it could definitely be a little overwhelming if you are just starting out or if you have bad credit right now. So hopefully you guys got some value out of it and you can start to implement some of these strategies into your own personal life. But like I said, I'm going to be busting out a bunch more financial videos for you guys so you guys can succeed with money and build the wealth that you desire. So with that being said, I hope you guys enjoyed, and this has been your boy, Coach Dusty. I'm out.